I got a job at a magazine, city regional magazine in Harrisburg, and just started ending up at places and meeting people. And I remember being interviewed about this story, this renaissance of downtown, of Restaurant Row, as it was coined then. And I remember telling Dennis Owens, "Oh, I'm a West Shore girl. I don't go out much." And then this like famous last word.
Welcome back to the Lead Lamp Podcast. This week we have Sara Bozich, who is the claim to fame unofficial ambassador of the Harrisburg region. You're also a writer, digital influencer, and a marketer. So we don't have a lot of history together, working together. And I know this is the first time I think I've ever spoken with you. So I'm interested in just learning, how did you become the unofficial ambassador of Harrisburg region, and just people in the area know you as like, hey, if we're looking for something fun to do or a good place to eat in the area, like we got to go check out what she's talking about, because you seem to have your finger on the pulse of like where the hot spots are.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to be here today and to talk about all things Harrisburg region. I guess my origin story is long, so I'm going to do like the Cliff Notes version. Okay. It's funny, you said Spark Notes earlier, and I'm saying Cliff Notes, and that is the age gap.
It's not too much different though. Like it's
the same idea. I mean, I remember Spark Notes too. I'm not like
I use Cliff Notes though as well.
Okay.
I remember.
I think I remember the beginning of Spark Notes. Anyway,
I got in a lot of trouble in school because the teachers knew when you were using it too.
Yeah.
But either way, we'll get back on track.
So my origin story. I grew up in this area. I went away for college, and when I came back, Harrisburg was having downtown Harrisburg was having possibly its best ever time.
It was like the boom of
it was.
The entertainment
I don't
area.
think it had ever been that way before. I doubt we'll ever see it quite like that again. Restaurants opening regularly. Back then, the story was, well, people used to say that 5 o'clock Harrisburg rolled up the sidewalks and no one could be there. And at that point, those things had really started to shift around the year 2000. And there were great restaurants. And I got a job at a magazine, city regional magazine in Harrisburg, and just started ending up at places and meeting people. And I remember being interviewed about this story, this renaissance of downtown, of Restaurant Row, as it was coined then. And I remember telling Dennis Owens, "Oh, I'm a West Shore girl. I don't go out much." And then this like famous last word. So it was like, from then on, I was like, became a piece of this. I was in my early 20s.
You just got pulled into the whirlwind.
I did. We were out downtown all the time. We were spending all kinds of time and money eating and drinking up 2nd Street. And I met a gajillion wonderful people, and probably some not so wonderful. But for this purpose, we'll just say lots of wonderful people. And it wasn't too long after that. And this is where I think I really sort of got the start. Yes, I'm a writer. I think that I went to school. I don't know what I thought I was going to do. I'm still figuring it out.
I don't think everyone does. No, most people don't want to go to school.
So I went to college at a time where I made up my major. And so it was photojournalistic communications, whatever the crap that means, which I think was blogging before blogging happened.
Right.
So fast forward a few years, and blogging is now a thing, and I'm doing that. I'm writing for the magazine. I leave there and work for another city regional publication, and I'm doing my blog on the side. I decide I want to just start, sharing some things. I think that I'm going to be a famous writer or something. I started writing a Nightlife column for this publication, and I think I got maybe like a month's worth of columns out. Maybe it came out every 2 weeks, something like that. It wasn't a lot. And the publication closed. And I reached out to an editor at the Patriot News. Now, I'd applied there out of college, and they were like, "Sorry, we only want someone with a journalism degree," which I did not have, admittedly. But I had made some friends who worked at the Patriot News. That's Penn Live now.
Yeah.
It's so funny how all of this stuff has shifted. But I sent them the column I wrote, and I said, "Do you want this or something like it?" And they were, at the time, doing some changes to their arts and entertainment section. They were rebranding it, putting it into like a magazine format. And I forget what the first version of it was, but it eventually became go. So they had iterations of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I started a Nightlife column called Out with Sarah.
Like in the actual print.
In
Or was it
actual
digital too?
print.
Or
They did put it online
Okay.
also. Yes. But yes, it was out every week. And I was basically just getting to talk about all the stuff there was to do. And it was like discovering my hometown.
Mhm.
We did not go out a lot when I was growing up.
It was like a treat, at least for me. Like when
Yeah.
we were going out, it's like, this is a special occasion.
It was absolutely a special
Mm-hmm.
occasion. I was raised by a single mom. We didn't have a lot of time or money. And so there was not a lot of special occasions even. So I really had this unique opportunity to discover what this region had. And
Mhm.
while I did a lot of downtown things, it wasn't just that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wrote the column for 13 years. And over that time, I grew up, the region evolved in different ways. Places opened, places closed. But I got many, many opportunities to discover things I'd never known about or did not know about. And I also really came to love food, and not just eating it, but eventually cooking it too,
Mhm.
which is something I enjoy doing at home a lot. I actually don't go out to eat a whole lot now because I cook at home almost every single day. But that really all came from this love of discovering restaurants and learning from chefs and producers. And eventually I was covering other things, not just restaurants or nightlife. I talked a lot about when the local wine industry started to grow around here, and then craft beer as well. I
Yeah.
was like right in on that one.
Okay.
And I covered a lot of those things. And along the way, I had grown my blog too. I tried to be really purposeful. Initially, it was like sort of a supplement to the column.
Mhm.
The column was just supposed to be about nightlife. So if I went to a cool lunch place in the city, I would put it on my blog. And then, people used to, still do, say, there's nothing to do around here.
Yeah.
And I would hear that a lot. And so I started I would hear about these things, and I like to pay attention to those things. And so I put it up on the blog one time, and then I did it again. And then I decided at one point that I wanted to get really serious about growing the blog. And the way that I did that was to focus on, I was doing a giveaway with a small business every Monday
Mm-hmm.
and the weekend roundup every Thursday.
Okay.
And it's been almost 20 years.
I was gonna say, I was checking around on the blog, and like, there's lots of historical. There's a lot of history on that.
My last web designer definitely made me dump some stuff. Like, don't. It's like a living history of stuff that occasions I've experienced. But yes, it's been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, a little housekeeping doesn't hurt every now and then.
Exactly.
So then you, it's funny you said that, like, you didn't see yourself being cast into that situation or that role when you started. It's not like you set out like, I'm gonna just conquer the area and I'm gonna be known as the what's happening in Central PA person, but then you found yourself doing that anyways.
Exactly.
And it's kind of funny how, and it goes even farther back to, like, I didn't know what I was really even getting into in college when you took that major, and it ends up morphing into something that you could have never predicted.
I am shocked how many times I have been using things I did in college, like classes I took in college, in my adulthood.
Mhm.
Like, oh, I guess this did end up.
But back then you're like, I'm never going to use this.
Well, or I guess I couldn't envision it,
Okay.
It seems like I felt like when I was in college, you were supposed to go figure out like the one job that was going to use all of these things to be this thing. And
Right.
I never could even figure out which one of those I wanted,
Yeah, it's tough at that age because you really even haven't tried any of this. Like,
Well,
you don't
right,
even.
I no experience in life at all.
Yeah, you're like, I don't even know what I like to do.
Right.
Like, this is so new. But I didn't even go to school for what we do here. But there's still times where it does come in handy, whether it's like we're working on something code related and I got to use some math skills with it or whatever. And I'm like, oh wow, like I did end up using that. So it's kind of crazy how it becomes full circle, but it could be 20 or 30 years down the road when you're like, oh wow, like, glad I took that class.
Well, the reason I ended up making up my major, when I went to college, I knew I wanted to communicate. Like,
Okay.
I knew that was one of the things that I liked to do. I loved to write. I liked photography. But like photojournalism wasn't in my brain. Like, I
Mhm.
wasn't thinking that was what it was. I think I was waiting for someone to tell me. But the school I went to had a broadcast communications major. Apparently I missed the broadcast part. And back then their courses were focused really on TV and radio, which is hilarious because I mean, both are around, but are so vastly different even now than they were then. But at the time I shoot it, I was like, that's not my jam. Like that's not what I want to be doing. I wanted to do this writing, creative. I think I thought I wanted to go into advertising, which is marketing. And then, 15, 20 years later, I wouldn't say, well, I'm comfortable doing things on camera and I've been on the radio. I've done several shows. I've served as a co-host on radio programming, and I never necessarily expected that those things would happen, but it was actually that other course that got me there.
That's interesting though. So the way you were and the journey you went down, the path you went on, I guess, you also saw a large evolution of like the timeline of Harrisburg and the greater Harrisburg area. Like it's been a lot of different tracks that have been going on. If you think about it as like a roller coaster, like a lot of ups and a lot of downs, but there's ups when other things are down and vice versa in the area. So it's cool that you kind of even in your head and even through your blogging have like a chronological history of like the area, what events that have happened or things like that. So like kind of walk us through like what you love about the Harrisburg region. Obviously you grew up and did you grow up here and then came back after school or so like you obviously decided this is where I want to be. I want to plant my roots here. Like,
I just didn't have any money. I thought I wanted to go to New York City. I mean, come on.
Well,
I thought I was going to be Carrie Bradshaw.
Okay. Well, that's what I meant. So like what, so once you're back here though, what just made you fall in love with doing what you did and kind of watching the area blossom in certain spots and then shrink back to kind of the pre-boom we were talking about, and just like what's special about that to you?
Well, I think there's a lot that is special about our region, and I think those are things that people don't think of a lot of times. But one of the things is that I don't know of another place where we have a metropolitan area that encompasses like 3 at least counties at one time, like 3 to 5, right? I mean, I was in 3 counties today, and that is normal.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what that means. It probably is more of a barrier sometimes than it's a help, but I think it's interesting. And we have a beautiful river that I wish was healthier. That is one of those negatives, but I hope someday and that's like well above anyone in the region's pay grade, right? Like, this is
like I can't help.
Top level problem.
We can talk about it a lot.
We can talk about it. Riverfront Park is beautiful. Downtown is by and large beautiful. Obviously, there's pockets that could use some love again. And then we are so close to the Appalachian Trail and rural areas, and I live in the woods, so it's really cool to me that in the span of really a half an hour, you can be in 3 counties in those 3 different places, but certainly within a day or whatever. And we also are so close to so many other big cities, and that I know in the past sometimes people haven't wanted to talk about that as a pro because we're supposed to love right here. But I think that it's okay, and it is an asset for our region to be able to live here, work here, and eventually play here, but also know that you don't necessarily go to Philly or New York City every weekend, but maybe you go once a quarter, and it's still valuable to be in a place that is less expensive to live, that has, more beautiful, rural areas. But
then you have quick access to
the
bigger, like we're in a metropolitan area, but compared to Philly, New York, DC, even Pittsburgh, west of here, like it's small.
Absolutely.
Compared to that, but few hour drive. I mean, the most is probably New York and Pittsburgh. That's the farthest at least. It's still not that far.
Right.
And you can be back in a day. So it's and the other thing that's unique about Central PA that I think it's really awesome is, and if you live in Perry County, you might not want to admit this, but it's true. Like even the rural counties, Perry County, Juniata County, you're not that, like you're still in the metropolitan area. Like you're still part of Harrisburg area.
Yeah.
And like you said, a 30-minute drive, if you're coming from here and you go straight north that way,
right,
you're going to go through, Camp Hill, Warmleysburg, and then you're going to hit Perry County, which, people that live in Perry County they take pride in their ruralness and that it is a different lifestyle compared to like downtown Mechanicsburg, but you're still in like the Harrisburg metro area, and it's just vastly different, like just going over one ridge.
Yeah, it's amazing. And there's so much beauty. But ultimately, the other thing that is so great about this region, I think what keeps me invested in it is its people. There are a lot of really wonderful people who care a whole lot about this region. Some who grew up here like me, some who haven't, some who are transplants. But a lot of people doing a lot of really amazing things that sometimes maybe doesn't get attention because there's so much going on in so many different places, or is sometimes a harder sell, but because we're not Philly or we're not this bigger place. But I maintain that our region has great potential.
I think it's starting to change though too. If you just look at like the growth rate of Cumberland and Dauphin County, even Lebanon, like a little farther east of here, like it's exploding.
And York, I'm in York County.
Oh yeah, York's going crazy too. And just the sheer volume of people moving into this region it's absurd. Like it's booming. And I think you'll start to see that influence change of like Central PA's influence on the larger area, whether it's regionally or nationally. Like it's starting to slightly shift, and you notice it just with like, there's more prominent brands coming into our area that we never had access to before. So like the cool thing about it is there's like brands that when, we were younger, you could only see when you went to Philly, or you would go to a metropolitan area and that's larger and think like, oh wow, that's like a foreign brand to us because you just don't have it around here.
Well, think about Hershey. It's like a mini Disney.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's a world-class resort and it's right here.
Yeah. I mean, I prefer going to Hershey than going to Disney parks, but that's a whole different conversation. It's fun.
I refuse to do Disney.
We could have a whole podcast about this. My team has heard me talk about that. First of all, I don't like the guilt trip you get. Like, oh, you have to take your kids to Disney for this experience. I just don't buy it.
Yeah.
And second of all, we have such like great entertainment just down the road, and I don't have to fly to. I don't want to talk.
Right. Yeah. No.
That's a whole other episode.
Agree.
All right. I'm glad we're on the same page. But either way, you've just seen such a cool. Like you've been in it now for 20 plus years, just absorbing everything Harrisburg area, and I'm sure with the good, you've seen a lot of things that weren't as positive. Obviously, we went through some tumultuous times with the COVID situation and all of the restaurants being closed down, and probably a lot of what you loved went through like a severe, not drought, but like, what are we going to do situation?
Sure.
And it's cool to see that. I don't want to talk about that era of time, but coming out of it now, you're starting to see like a resurgence of a lot of restaurants are opening up in the area again. You're starting to see a lot of new food services and a lot of not just ones that are big brands, but you're starting to see a lot of different ethnicities bringing in a whole different array of flavors of food into our area too, which is also very exciting.
Yeah, I absolutely love seeing that. I think that the more culture we can have anywhere we are is all the better. And I know that sometimes we get compared to Lancaster a lot in our area being viewed more negatively. And that's one of the things that Lancaster really excels at is having a wide variety of cultural representation in restaurants and stores. And I love seeing that happen here more. I do think that is the key to growth and a happy future.
Yeah. Now, other than food, because I don't want to just start talking about just food and like your love of the restaurants in the area, like you are also very involved in just events, some nonprofits, and some like you helped organize a race and you did a couple of different things. So not just getting involved in the restaurant side, which is fun because everyone loves good food. And what are some other things that either you've done in the past or you have kind of planned in the future too that are more about just getting community involvement or giving back to the community, whether it's other nonprofits you're working with or like a race series or anything you've done in the past?
So I have done a variety of different events, and it's interesting because that's where I was going to go with that, thinking about the way things have shifted coming out of the COVID era is really having to figure out people really changed how they gather and why they gather, and we're still sort of trying to like find the things that make people want to leave their homes and come out into the world and do stuff. It's really
tougher
hard.
now than ever.
It actually does feel tougher now. I really feel like people have just sort of shifted how they do. And then they're so shocked when stuff closes.
Mhm.
I saw someone post on Facebook the other day, another restaurant closed. Are people really not coming out? And I really just wanted to be like, are you coming out?
Yeah. Like, do you not see?
Yeah, no, people are not.
Yeah.
I do understand, and it surprises me how much like the food delivery service, I think, is keeping a lot of places going.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather never have my food delivered to me.
I can't stand it.
I hate
but
it.
That's just like the Disney
I'm not
conversation.
on the same.
Yeah.
Yes. I want to eat the food where it was prepared, either my home or at a restaurant. That is my personal preference. And I want it for the restaurants too. I think that there's something so special about the experience of going out to eat.
Yeah, there's a whole atmosphere and experience designed around. It's not just bringing your plate out and here's your food. Like most restaurants, not all,
Sure,
they think about like what it looks like when you're walking in, what the seating is like, so a lot of restaurants think about all those aspects. Ones that care about what they're doing.
even fast casual ones, certain ones, newer ones do. I feel like, although it must be, I assume the younger generation that doesn't want all of the fanfare. Like they're just give me the food and I'll get.
Well,
out
and the other thing that's changing. We're going right back into restaurants again.
Yeah, we are.
But the one thing that's changing is with the restaurants, which I've noticed, is some of the. I think it's chains right now that I notice it the most. They are reducing like the dine-in seating areas when they're building new ones.
Because everyone's ordering their DoorDash.
I'm gonna say it was a Chili's I saw being built. It might not be Chili's. Don't quote me on that, but it was like a tiny little Chili's. It was like the size of like a fast food restaurant size that I saw. I forget where I saw it, but we noticed it.
It's sad to me.
And we looked it up. It's because they're just having less dine-in eating.
Yeah.
Like
That's
they don't
a
need
bummer
all the
to
floor
me.
space.
Like, why would you want, I don't know, why would you want to eat Chili's?
I know, yeah.
A. But B, why would you want it to go?
Your fries are going to be all soggy.
I don't know. That's interesting. So we also see that in the event space. So one of the longest running event series I've done is the Soma Block Party series. It's in its 8th year. It will be in its 8th year this year. And I do this in partnership with Harristown Enterprises. They own most of the area in the South of Market neighborhood. They've invested with all kinds of streetscaping, signage to really build that up to be something. And there's a lot of residential options there in that part of the city, which is really cool. So we started this live music, food trucks, like pretty basic block party, but it's been a huge hit. And we've had hiccups for a while. They were doing construction on 3rd Street, so we had to like shift it to this like little back park on Blackberry Alley. And I thought no one would come because
they still show up.
I think everyone, it was great. I think people thought, oh, we discovered this little pocket of Harrisburg that we didn't know about. And there is a beautiful, Sprocket Works mural back there and all around the Soma neighborhood. So we do these May through September, usually the last Thursday of the month. Every now and then the calendar or something else shifts one of those, but generally that's the schedule. I usually book a party band, something that is fun and that everyone can enjoy because these are also family friendly.
Right, yeah.
We definitely encourage people to bring their kids if they're up for it. We always have kids dancing. We have a lemonade truck there, so there's not just beer and alcohol. And most of the food trucks sell, sodas and waters as well too. But a number of food trucks, so you have your choice of food, and then I try to change it up every month too. So you're not really getting the same experience.
Right, it's not the same block party every month.
Right, it's not. The vibe should be similar. It's supposed to be fun, easy, good summer night under the lights.
Basically, you have like a consistent core of expectations for the block party, but you might have different food truck vendors, or you might have a different different feel with each one. But there's still, if I'm going to show up month after month with my family, I can expect that it's going to be family friendly, safe. We're going to have music, fun, something for everyone there.
Exactly. And I try to be really intentional about booking food trucks, so we don't have a lot of repeats throughout the year. But it's balanced, right? So it's not going to be like 3, chicken trucks.
It's not taco truck, taco truck every time. But it's also probably great for the food truck vendors too, because they know, like, I mean, some of them probably would want to go to all of them because it means consistent sales. But if they don't get invited to the first one, they can still get in on other ones. It's not like you have just your favorites that you always bring.
I do have my favorites.
Well, you have your favorites.
That's a tough industry. So if you show up on time, pay your vendor fees, give me, if you are, and don't bail on me in the last minute. You end up on the good list.
We've had a few food truck people in here that we've talked to, and that's a tough business.
It is.
You just see them out at an event, you don't realize how much prep goes into getting the food and their team there.
Yeah.
That's all. That's been what, I don't know if that's more stressful than just running a restaurant though. Like that's a lot.
It's interesting because we definitely have seen folks who have shifted from one to the other, right?
Yeah.
I've seen someone who owns a restaurant go just to a truck. We've seen, I think, a lot of trucks try brick and mortar.
I've seen the restaurant go either straight to a truck and not have the brick and mortar, or they complement.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a brick and mortar and then they complement with a food truck. Then it's probably great for their in-store brand too, their brick and mortar, because now they got a rolling billboard. And then they're like, oh yeah, well, if you like this, we have a full restaurant as well.
Well, 717 Tacos is a great example of that. I absolutely love them. They're on my good list. They're like the top of they're just wonderful. If I have a food truck cancel, I call Abdul and I'm like, can you maybe
He's there.
show up? Can you do it? And if he is available, he will try for me.
Okay.
But they got their stores, they got their restaurants inside Giant now, which is amazing for them.
Yeah.
The same thing. So anytime you're grocery shopping, you're remembering 717 Tacos exist, and then they are, ever present. They like to show up at events, and it's because I'm sure people enjoy booking them for the same reasons that I do. They're responsible, their food's good, they show
Consistent.
up on time. Yes, you know what you're getting.
Yeah. So other than the Soma block parties, which actually your dates, are they out yet for this year?
They are. I just launched them. So it's all on my website, sarabozich.com/events, and you'll find everything that I have going
so
on there.
if people want to find those dates, you can have the site. We'll put a link in the show notes as well. But other than the Soma block parties, anything else that, you have going forward this year, or just things that you want to talk about that you've been a part of that you just were just in love with? Like, it's just such a great organization to help, do X, Y, and Z with.
I can talk about all of those things. I'm going to start with, since we're on events, I'm actually organizing two new event series in a new space in downtown Harrisburg called Coronet Park.
Okay.
It is going to be a pocket park. It is a green space that's being developed by Harristown. It's located on 2nd Street between the Crown Plaza and the Menaker.
Okay.
Now, the first floor of the Menaker is getting a denim coffee, and it'll be their largest footprint too, which is
That's exciting.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Love denim. And so the Pocket Park, we're going to be doing a live music series there, second Fridays in the summer, May through September. That was very fun to book. Is
it called a pocket park because it's like a small, like it's tucked in?
Yeah, it's actually like a thing. For when we first started talking about it, I'm like, is this just like what we're saying? But I did some research, and it is a globally known
like in
concept.
big cities. Like this is a normal.
It's a real
thing.
concept.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it's called Coronet Park because previously a building had been there, and at one point in time was the Coronet restaurant.
Gotcha.
This plays homage to that. So we'll do this tiny park concert series, which I'm excited about. Regional artists, all original. We'll have pop-up food and drink vendors at that as well. And then a variety of other events, monthly events, starting in April and going through November. I believe we're even moving. We do a Soma Christmas market every year, and I think this year it's going to be at Coronet Park. So we'll do park and inside denim, which will be a neat little shift for the year.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything like that in like the Harrisburg area, like a small, is it like a Christmas Village type thing? Or
well, if we can make it that. Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of mini markets in this.
But I meant like in downtown in Harrisburg.
No, the closest I would say is the Millworks does one every year at their Odd Ones Bazaar. The concept's the same.
Okay.
Except theirs is all indoors. So yeah, it probably is the only outdoor one.
Okay.
That we do in Harrisburg.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Nice. What else? Did you have other?
We do an event coming up in April called Plants and Pints. It's a fundraiser for Downtown Daily Bread.
Okay.
I call it the food event that feeds people. That seems to really resonate with folks. It's actually a plant-based food and beverage festival. So no meat products on site, but in addition to food and drink, we also have a lot of like health and wellness and like eco-conscious type vendors. Music. It's a very popular event. I'm really excited. We raised $12,000 for Downtown Daily Bread in the last 2 years. So I'm excited to see what more we can do for them.
That's a fun organization because you know that it's going directly back into our community. It's not like a national nonprofit. Like it's right here.
Exactly.
And I love doing that. Like anytime I do a lot of running, and I love doing races that benefit like very small local communities. Cause if you're spending $25 on their race series or their 5K or whatever, like they need that $25 more than, big conglomerate organization doing their race. And
Well, I have one for you.
Okay.
I am partnering with the River 97.3 to do the 0.5K in September. So it's not a very far race, but technically still a race. And that's going to be essentially a daytime Soma block party too. So we're going to do that down there, but it benefits Harrisburg River Rescue and Emergency Services.
Oh, nice.
So I've worked with
them. It's going to be
them.
on the island?
No, it'll be in downtown.
Oh, okay.
In the Soma neighborhood. I've worked with River Rescue for many years. They're an organization that's close to my heart. Along with myself, along with 4 other women, started Harrisburg Beer Week in, I don't know, 2015. Someone should Google that. I don't remember when we.
Kind of like the takeoff of the craft world down there.
It was right in the crux of it.
Yeah.
Right. So it was right in the middle of all of that happening. We all loved beer. We all loved this community. And we thought we should do this. We should create this beer week thing. Philly had one. Pittsburgh had one. I'm sure many other bigger cities did too. And we start talking about it and putting together what this could look like. And it sounds fun, right? Like a week-long of events. We had a few signature events that were honestly incredible, including a homebrewers festival that was very great. But we started talking about this. We're like, guys, I think we need to have a nonprofit affiliation here,
right?
Because people aren't just going to give us money to put this on. Like, and so we actually never made any money for ourselves out of this, but we raised, I think, over $200,000 for Rescue over the 5 years that we did Harrisburg Beer Week.
Nice.
So,
and they're a great organization. Like
they're an amazing organization. Yeah. And what it was interesting is we, didn't pick them straight away. We talked about what would be an appropriate, nonprofit to go with a beer event. Right. So it knocks out really anything health related and anything children related.
Right.
But left like dogs and, which are awesome.
Yeah. You get like dogs, veterans, and like rescue or law enforcement.
Right. And I had noticed that when they used to do the chili cook-off on City Island, that River Rescue would pour beer.
Man, I miss that. By the way, I don't want to get talking about chili cook-off now, but I loved the chili cook-off.
Yes, that was a really great event. So we reached out to them. Actually, we already did our research, and we ended up choosing Harrisburg River Rescue. We're like, these guys need help. Like, they do this amazing thing. It's right here in the city. It all plays together, and we met with them and they were so skeptical. Like, I mean, I guess how often do people say, hey, we want to raise some money for you? Right. But after the first year was successful, and even then they were wonderful partners. And so ever since we stopped Beer Week the year of COVID, largely in part, that obviously had something to do with it. But then also the 4 of us were, we all had our lives all going in different directions and getting busy. And it was a year-round endeavor. And
life changes. It's a different season.
Exactly. So ever since then, I've been trying to find ways to give back to River Rescue when I can. And I had been working on an event that I was so excited about called Berry Bash.
Okay.
That I had to cancel 2 years in a row because I could not get it off the ground. It was such a bummer. It was based off of this old event that they used to have in Strawberry Square in the late 90s, early 2000s called the Strawberry Ball.
Yeah, okay.
The Red Hot Strawberry Ball, which was put together by a group of friends who created their own nonprofit called Backyard Benefits. And it was a blast. I had so much fun at that party. And I can't understand why other people don't want to party like that. Last year, it was really heartbreaking to have to not do that event. But I'd gotten the funding. The only thing was lacking was ticket sales. And this is where I have to realize people just don't party the way they used to.
It's where you're seeing what we talked about 15 minutes ago. They just don't go out the same anymore.
Right. They don't celebrate the same. They don't party the same. There was other feedback I got. But that was the general part of it. Thankfully, I was still able to give a donation to River Rescue from our very generous
sponsors.
Positive. It was the best version of that. So partnering with the River this year to help River Rescue again was very meaningful to me. So I'm excited to get that off the ground and do that in late September.
That'll be fun. This is just like a footnote. Talking about not going out anymore, I was so sad. We went so I live down west, like out towards Shippensburg. And this New Year's, we were like, we don't ever go out on New Year's. I never go out on New Year's. But we're like, let's go out. Let's take the kids. We'll go do we did like the ship, the anchor drop. Like, you know, they all have their drops. But like, I remember we had going to that before, going to other like smaller town drops, and they were always packed. And this year we went, and it's sad. There's like maybe 150 people with it. Wow. And you see pictures of like the wrench drop in Mechanicsburg, and there's just not as many people going to these things. And I think it's a lot of it just like, and we're going to get on a soapbox here. My rant with why I think people aren't going out to these types of things anymore is the options of technology and streaming and apps and screens is really sucking people into being more homebodies. And it's not that they're doing it like, oh, I don't want to go out. It's just they don't think about it now.
Because they can just watch someone else have fun.
Yeah.
It's that weird thing, like, I don't know.
It's not a cognitive decision to not go out. They just get sucked in and they don't realize they're not going out.
I mean, I think that is probably part of it. I think there's probably also a cognitive part that says, I don't need to because I can watch this.
I can see a concert from YouTube.
Yeah. And it depends, for each person on how you value things. I think the human experience is important, like the living of things, the experience of being part of something feels really different than
being in a room full of people versus watching a room full of people.
I'm hopeful that things will start to shift because I'm starting to see trends now too. These brick apps people get, like you pay $75 to brick your phone.
Yeah,
just put your phone
just
down.
turn it off. Yeah.
Although I say that and I'm like, I should just put my phone down before I when I put my son down for bed, and then I try not to look at it too much, but sometimes my husband takes too long getting a snack and I decide to scroll for a few minutes. But I try not to watch TV with the phone in my hand.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's hard. Once you start doing that, it is hard. So like my thing is
because we feel like we need to be stimulated like all of the time. It takes work, but you can get back there. And I'm seeing shifts like that where people are spending the money that, well, I don't have the willpower, so I'll brick my phone, and seeing positive responses to that. I have a theory that malls are going to come back. I think that some of this cable has to come back.
Well, I'm dying. I'm dying by a death by 1,000
subscriptions.
Instead of cuts, it's subscriptions. It's like I can't anymore.
Yeah.
And it's wild. So it's just like every year it's like, oh, I can't even watch that. Can't watch my hockey team anymore because now I got to get this subscription. And I'm like,
still pay for cable. That's the thing. We like sports and news.
If I just had cable, I wouldn't have this problem. Yeah. Anyways,
yes.
the other thing I'm interested to see is, so like, we had talked before the show started, we have kids that are similar ages. I'm interested to see what the adoption of putting your name and like information out to the world will be to our generation as they see people older than I'm in our generation putting everything out there.
Right.
Like if there'll be a reduction in that, or if they'll just buy in completely.
I think so. I think even kids older than ours really have, like, I just keep reading trends. Like being offline is cool. Not having social media is cool.
We'll have to poll Jill and see. But so that's the luxury of having younger people who are working here. Yeah. So like when I was growing up, I saw the MySpace come in, and I saw what was before MySpace called Zanga. There was a couple of different things.
Yeah, Zanga.
There was a couple sad
on Zanga.
Yeah, there was a couple sadder networks below MySpace yet that people don't talk about. But like that was just new, so we were just putting all of our information out there and like, oh, I got to get a thing. I want to make an account. I want to do this.
Yeah.
And we didn't really see the repercussions of what that would do 10, 20 years down the road. Now we do. And I think, I try to make sure my digital footprints looks a certain way, or I don't have as much out there anymore because I don't need all that out there. And and I'm hoping like you were saying that generations that are going into the workforce now, and even my kids' generation is seeing that as like hey, before you put all that out there, like just think about what that does to you.
Well, I told my son he can't have a phone until he's like 30.
Same. I'm holding out. I will not get my kids' phones till they're like driving on their own.
That I think is going to be, but you're not allowed to use it in the car.
I wish I could give him my first phone.
Yes.
Like whatever your first phone, like this is your phone. Yeah. It's indestructible.
Right.
But you can't do anything with it. You can call me. But no, playing into what you were saying, just like the events are even changing from even when you started this and when we were younger, like it was just a way different world with how everything, even people just interacted at these events.
Well, it's interesting. So I would say, like, when I started doing this, you didn't have to have an event. A business could just be open and it'd be packed. It'd be a day. Maybe there was happy hour specials if it was a bar.
Yeah, they could do
right?
a small announcement, like.
But they didn't put it on. There was no social media yet, so it was just like, if you read my column, and you knew that you could go to Scott's Grill on a Monday night. And I realize how much I'm dating myself with this, but that's fine. They had the best Monday night happy hour. And then, then everyone becomes lenient on social media. People stop having websites. I think that's a bad idea. You should have your own website. Because what happens?
Oh yeah, they're foregoing the website and using
you don't
just a
have
Facebook page.
Way to tell people what is happening with you. But then we entered an era of events, like pre-COVID. I think in the 2010s, people got event happy. I mean, I remember doing my weekend roundup, putting it together, and thinking, I can't believe this person's having this small business is having an event to celebrate this small thing. I wasn't judging it. I just was surprised by it. And then I remember there were so many of these. I thought, this is really untenable. Like, this can't continue. And then COVID happened. And then I was like, shit, that's not what I meant.
Yeah. But it did kind of equalize some things out.
It did. Yeah. I mean, I know we don't want to talk about that era, but
yeah, it was a terrible time.
It was a terrible time. We did the best we could. A lot of things were learned in that period of time about many different things. And so coming out of that and adjusting and seeing how people spend their time and what they want to do, we do need events, but events are now I do throw the big parties, right? The Small Block Party is a big thing. It is meant for everyone. The events I'm curating at Coronet Park, it's a smaller space, so I don't need 400 people to come there to make it look like it's a great time. But I also am I'm seeing people want to do these more intimate events that
they're
are
more intentional.
Yes, intentional, exactly. With whether they're themed or, have a purpose. And so that's what of course, we haven't had any yet, so I can't speak to the success, but that is my goal with that set of events is for those to be, it's still a community gathering space. The events are, I think, all free to attend. I don't know if there's one that might end up being a ticketed situation. We're doing a pop-up beer garden, and I have to figure out what that looks like.
Yeah.
Is it beer fest or a beer garden? Because those are two different things. I'm not there yet. The rest of them, though, are all free, free to attend. It's supposed to be, you can just pop in, spend as much time there as you want to. And then the other part that I love about that is working with all of these small businesses to give them a space to show off what they have.
Nice. Yeah, it's just changing. Like, events will change, digital stuff changes, everything. And you've watched a full evolution of it already. There's going to be 5 more of them in the next 10 years. It's just going to keep changing. It changes faster now. That's the other thing.
Well, I think it's funny. Sometimes I realize people follow me on Instagram, and they probably wonder, well, like, why do I follow her? Where did she come from? And because I wrote a column for a newspaper for 13
however many years ago.
And then eventually translated. But like, as you're how people use that changes, and I get new followers, they're probably like, well, who is she? I don't have like former Nightlife columnist in my bio.
Right. Yeah, you're just suggested because of other people following and connections. The other thing I wanted to talk about, let's talk about that real quick. Last thing I really wanted to touch on was, and I think it's fun and funny, but the rise and kind of change of, and it's kind of what's in your title, is the influencer. So like, you were kind of doing that before like influencer was a thing.
Right.
And you've seen, I'm sure, plenty of people come and go in the influencer world and maybe not really understand what it means to be an influencer. And I think you probably have a different take on it than someone who's like, no, I only get paid to mention your brand and I'm only doing it for this. Like, you seem to have kind of a different philosophy on your influence and how you're using yourself as an influencer versus someone who's strictly doing it just for monetization. Not that that's bad. You have to monetize stuff too, but
you gotta make money. So for sure, I definitely was an influencer before it was influencer.
Before we knew what influencers were.
It's funny you even mentioned that, like that word, now we say content creator.
Yeah, it's changing again.
Right. It's like when blogging was like so negative at first, and then it was very briefly cool, and then it was like still blah. So like, I don't like to call myself a blogger. I once got in a fight with someone online because I was like, I'm not a blogger. I'm a writer and I have a website. And they're like, that's a blog. But I wasn't like, I thought of a blog as like an online diary. I'm like, I'm
That's
not doing that. I'm
my,
sharing information.
I do think it's like there's an age thing. Like when I hear the word blog, I think of like you said, like Dear Diary.
Right.
Today
Like
I
a
went,
live journal.
yeah.
And so similar with influencer,
Mhm.
right? It's like, who are these people on Instagram? I mean, when I started doing these things, Instagram didn't exist.
Yeah.
But I absolutely was influencing people through my column and my blog for years before that.
You were doing a similar thing, just with a different medium.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's where it'll go back, at least maybe for me personally. Like,
Mhm.
we talked briefly before about like owning your own website. So like, that's the one thing I got, right? So it doesn't matter. Instagram can close tomorrow.
Yeah, that's yours.
Yeah, it's mine and my stuff's there. And it's where I can write whatever I want to and share whatever I want to. And so that is important to me. And then it's funny that Instagram thing, I was talking with two other broadcast media friends, and we were, like, oh, Sarah, well, do you share the reel on Facebook too? And we're talking about, and I was like, listen, guys, we're not supposed to be doing this.
Mhm.
I'm a writer. You're radio broadcasters. Like, this was not supposed to be part of like our daily stresses.
Yeah.
I think we're doing the best we can.
Yeah.
So, but there is the rise and the fall, the pressures. Someone comes in and like, I am not a skilled videographer. I did take some classes, but I did not, like, that was not a focus. I'm a writer, and I do like to take pictures. I'm not I'm not ever going to be a professional photographer. So I just got to do the best that I can, but it's really easy to get caught up in like what's happening around you and what people are asking for.
It's almost like keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
When you're looking at what other people are doing, and then you're kind of, which is probably what like those radio people you were talking about were doing too. Like, well, we have to make sure we're doing this as well, and that and this, and you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well,
Like,
and because we're all struggling to stay relevant in
Right.
an ever-changing, industry. And so my take to answer your question, really, influence content creation. Well, I am a content creator. I'll accept that name. I just don't like the reputation that comes with now either.
Yeah,
right. Now that's icky to me.
so see, I don't think it is though.
No?
Like, I think the word content creators become more standard. Like, it's more of a standard thing, at least in the marketing, like digital marketing world.
Well, and it makes more sense too, because you could be you
Right.
are a content creator.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the medium. So I
Right.
do appreciate that it is like larger there.
It's not like a made up job anymore. Like, if 15 years ago I told my parents, like, I'm gonna be a content creator,
Yeah.
they'd have been like, you should probably think about a different job.
Yes.
Like, now it's not like that. I feel like it's more standard.
I do agree with you that it is more standard, but I think that in another 6 months it could be a different name.
Oh, yeah.
And that then becomes gross because who knows why. And
Right.
so it took me a long time. So I've worked for myself full time now for 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere in the early years, I did finally figure out what it is I do. And I still try to use that now because, as we talked about before, I never know where people have found me from, whether
Mhm.
it's an event or the blog. Or
That was kind of the first thing you said when we
Yeah.
came in. You were like, so how do you
Right.
know much about me? And yeah,
I always love other people to introduce me for that reason, because I am always curious to hear how I resonate to someone else.
and you probably know how long they've been following you based on how they introduce you too.
Yes, that is for sure. I used to get really upset about people not understanding, like, if something was my blog or my column, and then I was like, why am I mad they're reading me? So
I wrote it.
that's-
Right.
And it's good. And I've also learned how people consume content is also ever changing, but different than I do. And you do it differently than she does it. And so it's, why we then are like, do we share it to Facebook too? Trying to get it everywhere. But I look at what I do as on large scale marketing and 3 different tiers of service. Promotion, which can include public relations. I do that for some clients. I certainly do it for myself for the events that I do. The blog, which I use as my own platform, so I don't have to rely on outside media.
Okay.
I am
That's your voice.
it is
on
my
that.
voice, and it's my channel, so I can uplift whomever I would like to. And then, the influencery stuff falls under that as well. Things that I might do on Instagram for a client. And then events, which we understand. And then social media services, which I try to stay away from now. But I've done social media work for other clients, and I mostly just do it for myself right now. I usually prefer to offer consultations.
Gotcha.
I think that's typically now
Like strategy or stuff like that.
Yes, exactly. So for me, that influencer part, the way that I've, created my brand in this region, I'm always doing that, right? Anything that I post on any of the channels is really influencing.
Yeah.
Whether it follows a particular, standard or not, or whether I'm just, sharing something that I ate or.
Because there are a large number of people it's a following now at this point, and they're waiting to see what you're going to post. Like, it's not like it's taken as gospel, although I'm sure you've had people that do take it more serious than you even might take it. You do realize, like, hey, I can move people a certain direction if I'm starting to post about visiting a new restaurant or a new business or an event in the area. And it's fun to probably, see how that can affect the community in a good way, especially because you're using it for community enrichment. You're doing it for things that are important to the community. You're not just doing it for like self-serving purposes. Like I said, even though you do need to make a living off of it, it's fun to see that you have a balance with it and you understand, like, no, it's important to the community as well.
Exactly.
Like, to be a community voice. Now, my funny story about like the taking it too seriously is my dad and I we don't need to go into what it is. We have a side hobby that we've then created a decent following for a very niche hobby. And we used to have a podcast. We used to have the whole thing with it. And it was funny, like, you would say something and your audience, like people that were in your audience would take it as like gospel. And they're like, well, you have to do it this way. And I'm like, no, we don't even take it that serious. Like, yeah, it's a good thing, but it's not the only thing. Like, there's other things out here that you can listen to and consume. Like, we're not the end all be all answer. It's just funny when you do amass an audience like that. Sometimes you're like, hey guys, like, what I do, I take great care of what I do and we try to do it right. But like, there's other great people out here doing this. So like, check out some of their work too.
What is the niche hobby?
Oh, we do. All right. So we build super small scale or like ultra realistic structures. And it's kind of, you could consider it model railroading. The team here will laugh because I don't like trains. We don't do trains. We have one. I don't even know I don't know anything about trains. We just like to build super realistic, tiny cities, like scenes. But it's like it's an art-based industry. So you have a lot of people that are like super purist. And they'll hear you say something and they take what you say like way too serious. And you're like, it's not, don't put that much thought into it. Like, it's okay. But there's influence in it. So you have to sometimes watch what you say because you'll get all sorts of opinions on it.
Yes, I've learned to watch what I say. Sometimes I regret it. Sometimes I wish I could say more things, but I really try to be thoughtful about what I am putting out because I care about the greater good more than the snapping back at someone sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes you have to think about your future self. Like, is my future self going to be upset that I said this right now?
Yeah.
Or should I just let loose?
I mean, I did have someone, and this was on LinkedIn, which is really shocking. I had posted the weekend roundup and they commented something about how, could I do something about the parking rates? And I was like, unfortunately, like, that is not my department.
Yeah.
But it's free on Sundays.
What are you going to do about that?
I don't know.
It's kind of like cleaning up the river. Like, we can talk about it till we're blue in the face, but like, there's only so far you can take certain issues.
The right people have to care.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, is there anything else new you have going on that you wanted to announce?
I don't think so. I think we covered all of the events that I just launched on my website, so that's pretty exciting.
Awesome.
They all start in April, so we still have a little bit of time yet, but that's all up. People can start marking their calendars.
Perfect. Well, again, we'll have the link to your site in our show notes. We'll put your social pages and stuff, everything in there as well in the show notes. But I want to thank you for coming on and kind of giving us the high level view of, I mean, we went deep on a couple of things, but the high level view of, your background and how you got into doing what you're doing and just sharing what you have going on.
Awesome. Thank you so much.